In today's SNG Explains, we will talk about what happened on this day, the 4th of June, in China, 34 years ago. How many of you remember this picture and where it was taken? It was taken in Tiananmen Square, in the heart of Beijing. The man was blocking the movement of army tanks into crowds of young students and demanding freedom and democracy. The story is, he was taken away by others who feared the tanks would run him down. That day was 4th of June 1989, when the People's Liberation Army cracked down on unarmed students, shooting them with rifles and machine guns. How did this happen in one of the most tightly controlled countries in the world? China was in a period of transition from rigid socialism and state control of the economy to a more free market system. The reforms were driven by Deng Xiaoping, China's supreme leader at that time, who recognized the need to modernize his country.
Deng had to first knit together a political coalition within his own party who would back him. He made compromises ideologically for the larger interest of keeping the country on the path to economic reform. He made major reforms in the way in which the Communist Party governed itself so that they would never go back again to a one-person rule where that one person may take them in the wrong direction. And in that process, of course, Deng was the first to admit that he was crossing the river by feeling the stones, that he never had a grand plan.
Right.
He had a strategy, but he didn't have a grand plan. So it was a method of trial and error, but one where he was determined to keep the country on course.
The reforms were limited to the economy, with the Communist Party retaining its tight political control over the country. But the reforms also deepened social and economic inequalities and triggered calls for political reform, government transparency, end to corruption, and protection of human rights. Deng Xiaoping saw the protests as a threat to his authority and the primacy of the Communist Party. As protests escalated, the government declared martial law on the 20th of May and mobilized troops to put down the movement. The protests were crushed with an iron hand. 3 decades later, it seems a faint memory in China, remembered by only those who lost their children in the crackdown. All references to the events of June 4th are banned in China to this day, and freedom remains a distant dream for people who chafe at the oppressive rule of the Communist Party. Stay tuned for more such topics on SNG Explains. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.